No doubt you've heard by now the story about PayPal. A couple of weeks ago, the Daily Wire reported that PayPal's terms of service had been changed to include a clause that now gives them the right to fine people who share what PayPal deems to be misinformation online. Fines for wrongthink could climb as high as $2,500 per infraction. They tried to backpedal it, but it was too late. The response to the story was a mass exodus of users canceling their PayPal memberships and seeking greener pastures elsewhere. And thankfully, this was not simply an ideological response from only conservatives. I actually saw some self described progressives jump ship too. They were, we'll be honest, probably the kinds of progressives that kind of went away from the public view after 2010 and the Occupy mess that took economic and concrete issues away from that side of the political aisle as their main focus. Since it was at that time that the ideas they fought for were replaced by advocacy for various of the sins of the flesh and bizarre worldviews that come as a natural consequence of identifying with those sins. But rest assured that PayPal is being put on notice by a wide variety of people, not just self described conservatives or traditionalists. That's actually a good sign, I think. But let's talk about some of the alternatives to PayPal, because there's quite a few of them out there and they're worth going over. There are actually two kinds of alternatives, ones that are purely secular and a handful that are Christian in nature in some way. Now, fair warning, there are no Catholic payment processing companies that I have found. If you are a traditional Catholic or a conservative Novus Ordo Catholic and you have the resources and interest in this area, this would be a great time to step up and try to make something happen. And if you decide to do that, reach out to me. I'll have a conversation with you. But let's start with the secular alternatives. And there are two classes of them. There are the mainstream secular alternatives. These are the key mainstream competitors to PayPal, and then alt tech opportunities. The mainstream alternatives include companies like Skrill, which is a pay-safe company. This is a payment method that's a lot like PayPal and how it functions. Then you get Stripe, which is the biggest alternative for online businesses to PayPal. After that is Square, an Apple product. If you've ever gone to a farmer's market or dealt with a home repair or lawn maintenance small company or self-employed person who's come to your home and done work for you, you've probably encountered Square, and they're little white square payment machines that attach to smartphones. After that is Venmo, and then Payoneer, and I don't have a lot of experience with either of them myself. Shopify Payments looks to me to be relatively new in the alternative payment system space, but I've been seeing them more and more online lately. They appear to be growing. Finally, the two most questionable of all mainstream tech alternatives are QuickBooks Payments, which I think is a Microsoft product, judging by the name, and Google Pay, which is by Google, obviously. If you're looking for options that will respect your conscience and your speech and not punish you for having wrong opinions, those options may not be the best. So over at a website called reclaimthenet.org, there was an article run on 10 alternatives to PayPal for freedom-loving people. I won't go over all of them here, but I'm going to go over a few of them. A couple of these are Christian companies, but most of them are simply alt-tech with a secular conservative bent. I'll cover the Christian options from the list in a moment, but first, here's the highlights from the better secular companies that will not punish you for your opinions. The first is Glorify, which is described as, quote, an unapologetically pro-America, pro-freedom, pro-capitalism financial lifestyle app that offers credit cards, banking, and loyalty rewards. Glorify supports the U.S. Bill of Rights and says it's non-negotiable. Glorify opposes the corporate elite telling you how to think, ideological companies, and big government, and describes its app as a financial lifestyle app designed for we the people. Users can access Glorify's services via its mobile app, which can be used to open accounts, apply for cards, monitor spending, and track loyalty rewards. End quote. The second listed here is 2A Processing, dedicated to defending the amendment of the U.S. Constitution that seems to come under the attack most often by servants of Moloch after they go after the first one. They are a payment processing company that may offer a way around some of the restrictions on that topic that credit card companies have begun implementing on that issue in recent months, especially for retailers who deal in that sort of area of freedom. The next alternative is for those of you hosting websites. It's called Parallel Economy, and it's made by the founder of Rumble. From the article, quote, Parallel Economy has partnerships with major retail, hospitality, restaurant, sporting goods, and manufacturing point-of-sale companies. It also integrates with over 250 gateways and supports shopping carts such as Shopify, BigCommerce, WooCommerce, Authorize.net, Magento, 3D Cart, and Volusion. Some of Parallel Economy's other features include free next-day funding, a free virtual terminal account, chargeback assistance, invoicing tools, expense tracking tools, and 24/7 merchant support. There are also no contracts and no surcharges. End quote. If you have a Catholic website that uses PayPal, it might be a good option for you. The last of the purely secular payment processors I'll cover here is called Revere Payments. So, from the article, quote, a company that promises to process payments, quote unquote, without bias and protect business owners' quote, right to do business. The company's founder, Wendy Yurgo Kinney, said she created Revere Payments in response to the growing number of US-based businesses that are losing payment processing services because of their conservative and religious beliefs. Revere Payments provides an entire tech stack that is customized to fit a wide range of businesses. This tech stack is compatible with many major payment solutions, including Authorize.net, Shopify, and WooCommerce. It also supports multiple payment types, including online payments, retail payments, point-of-sale payments, and donations. End quote. There are others, and I'll have links to them in the show notes at returntotradition.org, so check the post out at my site for the sources links. One more secular one that I'll mention here is one that I use, and it's one of my sort of support the channel options that's in the description box, and that's Buy Me a Coffee. You can use it to send people small amounts of cash directly. Not telling you to click that link to pedal for a donation or anything, but if you want to see the site, there's a link to my page there in the comments. You can go there and explore the website, and I'll show you how it works. It's pretty straightforward. Now, moving on to the ones that are more explicitly Christian. That same article features Gab Pay, which is founded by the owner of Gab. From the article, quote, a person-to-person payment network from the free speech software company Gab. Gab uses the First Amendment of the United States Constitution to guide its content moderation and describes Gab Pay as a solution that, quote, allows you to spend your processing dollars with companies who share your values rather than major monopolies who've hijacked our payment processing sectors. With Gab Pay, users can instantly transfer money from supported bank accounts to anyone with a cell phone or email address. Funds can be quickly transferred from a bank into a Gab Pay account, and this Gab Pay balance can be used to make payments. Users can also withdraw their Gab Pay balance to supported bank accounts. Gab Pay supports both consumer and merchant accounts. Gab Pay says its merchant accounts allow businesses to, quote, accept payments without the fear of chargebacks, indefinite holds, or reprisals for political beliefs. Merchant accounts can also integrate with many e-commerce, membership, and website building platforms. Gab Pay also offers vanity addresses which let users create an easy-to-remember link to their Gab Pay account. End quote. Of these that I've listed here, I think Gab Pay might be the best option, especially if you're concerned about broader speech issues, though Parallel Economy and Revere are also good options. There are other secular options, too, that often market themselves to churches. What I noticed when looking at them is that none of them explicitly mention freedom of conscience and speech in their literature. When talking about why a church may want to use your product, in this day and age, it's advisable to signal that you will respect their beliefs and not discriminate. But unfortunately, none of those really do that, which is kind of odd. But I'll include links to those options in the show notes as well, which you can find over at returntotradition.org. That's the name of this podcast with a .org at the end for the web address. I'd post the links here, but YouTube has rules against posting links to sites with ads on them, and some of those resource sites do have advertisements. And I do try to respect their rules as best as I can. But folks, that's it. It's a short video today on payment processor alternatives to PayPal. Did you find this helpful? If you did, like the video, send it to someone who you think would be helped by it, even if they normally wouldn't be interested in what I do here, or maybe they would find normally the things I say here bothersome. But send this to them if they're looking for an alternative to PayPal. I suspect that even my detractors would find this information helpful. And hit the subscribe button if you haven't. It really does help. As is sharing this on social media. That helps a lot as well. As always, pray for the church. I'm Anthony Stine. Ave Maria.